What I like to do every so often with a student is ask them to get a value scale that they've made with pencil and take a hole punch and punch out the hole and save that little dot. If you take out one of the dots from each of the areas and position them around the board, you'll test whether or not you've used your range of values, which is one of the purposes of the exercise we're working on. In most of my paintings, what I'm trying to do is get the viewer to look to a certain spot. Usually it's the animal's eye, but it could be something else. I am more of a portrait artist, and I prefer to concentrate on the personality of the animal through, a close-up, intimate look at it. So when I'm thinking about eyes, that's pretty much where I'm going to put my darkest dark and lightest lights, and most of the detail and whatever else I can find in there. But in this instance, I will try to use some of those dots to figure out if I've represented a lot of the range. Another thing you can do is take your drawing and stick it under your hole punch and see if the values are represented through the holes you've cut previously, and test to just check off that you've used at least some of the values that are in that range. Okay? Another thing to do is to take a piece of tracing paper. If you're not happy with your drawing, take a sheet of tracing paper and say, it wouldn't be a bad thing if I made it a little darker here, or work on top of the tracing paper. If you're too light in an area, like under this eye, you might say, I'm just going to try and see if it looks a little darker, or it looks a little better darker. And you haven't risked anything. And last, if it's accessible to you, which it pretty much is on every street corner in a city, is try to find a photocopier. Take a photocopy of your picture and work on top of it rather than ruining a drawing. One of the things that I tell people to try to do is if they assume that too dark is right here, if their problem is using the dark end of the value scale, I ask them when they start a painting to try going to that spot where they think too dark actually is. And then I ask them to ruin the drawing in their minds, go further. And what they're going to discover is that they stopped way too soon here, and they're going to get to the spot where they should have stopped. But I want them to continue going even further and make it a mistake. But then they can look around and see not only where they should have stopped, but that they were wrong when they stopped here or thought that this is the stopping point. So it's really forcing you through ruining a drawing to go beyond what you had to learn from your mistakes. And they say that a really good artist has to make 2,000 mistakes, so get busy and start making them.